critical theory is a funny thing. No matter how much you can study it, no matter how much you understand it, like the Marxism from which it's derived, and it really is, if you don't embrace critical theory, critical theorists will tell you you don't really understand it. Critical theory is an idea. It's derived from Marxist philosophy in a postmodern society. Now, in a postmodern society, to understand postmodernity, and it took me a long time studying this to understand what do people mean when they mean postmodernity. In modernity, in modern times, people believe that there is objectivity, there's objective knowledge, that there's absolute truth, and that you can find that truth. Postmodernity favors something called deconstruction, where you can break down the truths to raise questions about them. And in so doing, you realize that everything is subjective, there is no objectivity, and there is no absolute truth. This is problematic within churches because Jesus said he's the way, the truth, and the life. And if there is no absolute truth, there is no Jesus. And so you can derive anything you want from Christianity. And a lot of people deconstruct their faith and fall out of the faith because they nitpick certain things that don't make sense to them, for which there may be rational explanations, but now they don't believe the people or the sources because in postmodernity, falsehood trumps truth. Well, critical theory attempts to explain the world in a postmodern setting where there is no absolute truth and there is no objectivity, and it explains the world in terms of power dynamics. Its proponents believe that those with the least power have the most moral authority to speak. Those with the most power can't speak with any moral authority. Power is mapped through intersectionality, so race, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, a few other things are taken into account. So the white, male, heterosexual Christian has the most power, therefore the least moral authority to speak in society. Critical theorists believe theory, or reality rather, is constructed by language. You can change the language in order to change reality. Power is exerted through language, including the power to shape reality through what is called a dominant discourse. The way to reshape reality is to reshape language. The way to change the dominant discourse is to change the language and the conversation. So critical theorists are opposed to free speech. They're opposed to free enterprise. They're opposed to academic freedom. The freedom of the privileged to engage in dominant discourses has to be reduced so that we can hear the non-privileged and the oppressed and they can rise. Now, some critical theorists would take issue with the description, but that's part of the problem. The proponents of critical theory are really hard to pin down on exactly what they're talking about because they believe that by virtue of me being a white, male, cisgendered, heterosexual guy, I can't really talk with any authority. It's very much for them like a capitalist describing Marxism. They don't think it's valid. I've written about this and how it's impacting churches, and I hope you might text the word data to 33777 and get the link and read what I've written about it.